Welcome to the Arc of Us, a living archive created for a world racing towards artificial intelligence. Recognizing not everything will survive this shift, we are keeping record of what it means to be human, what it means to feel and create and know. Join me. Step into the arc. And remember. I laughed so much this morning. It's such medicine. Have you laughed recently?
Not enough, but I do. I mean, I do laugh at things, but yes, it is. I've been thinking about going to some like laughter yoga stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Just
such
to, like,
medicine. It's like we just because it's so fucking intense. We need the relief in that way and
yeah,
like
we
the
do.
body. But let's just get started because also I want to be conscious of your time and
Of course.
also like the amount of time, the running time of
Yeah,
this episode, like every episode, because of people's attention span. Not that
yeah,
I want to cater to people, but I just think it
yeah.
needs to really
Agree.
acknowledge like where we are at as a species. And I first want to say that we're living in such auspicious times, and it's this. I really see this, and that's why I wanted you to come on here today. Was that there's this first moment in history where our attention is being, deliberately harvested and monetized. And that's one of the reasons why the Arc of Us exists, because I really want to document, this threshold and how we can remain human and how we can protect our unique energetic signature in this
Yeah,
time where there is so much noise and distraction, and our attention has been stolen.
yeah.
So I mean, you're a dear friend. We've known each other for probably more than 2 decades, and you really are like, I'm just very honored to have you here because of your experience. And I just want to formally introduce you. You're a digital wellbeing specialist, speaker, and author with 2 decades of professional experience inside the social media and attention economy. Your work is informed by first-hand industry insight as head of social media for The Common, Glastonbury Festival, consultant to Hay House Publishing, and producer of the Gold Sony Radio Academy Award winning Firing Squad podcast. You're also author of the Social Media for a New Age series, a finalist in the Business Book Awards, and you hold a diploma in digital well-being. I'm so curious about that. I'm going to ask you about that in a moment. As a fellow of the Consciously Digital Institute, you bring complex research down to earth, helping people build a healthier, balanced relationship with digital life.
Hmm.
Ah, that is, I mean, I don't know if you're a unicorn, but I see on your website you've got a unicorn. Are
Can
there
you
many
see one?
people?
Can you see one up there? Look, look, look. See the unicorn?
Oh, yeah. Well, first of all, welcome. And I think you're a unicorn. Are there any other people out there like you that are doing this work?
Well, yes, there are other people doing this work. Yes. That's why I think for me being part of the Consciously Digital Institute so important,
Mm,
because for a long time I did think I was on my own. But there's not enough of us yet, but
yeah,
we are a growing cohort.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's so reassuring to know. And one of the other intentions of this podcast is to bring people on who really are this last living generation of having been immersed in an analog world and then are moving through this transition to, an age of artificial intelligence. And, so because you've lived through that arc, I'm like, when did you first notice or observe how our attention was being extracted or like fought over?
Yeah, for me, it was around 2018, and it was the Cambridge Analytica scandal. That's what woke me up to what was happening with our data, with our attention. I was so naive. Like, I just loved social media so much. It was always this doorway to people that wasn't gated by anyone. Having come from the music industry, you had to
Mm,
have a radio plugger, you had to have a press person. To be heard, you had to have already made it quite far before anyone could hear anything about you. And it was just so exciting that so, for me, it was MySpace opened up the door to being able to talk directly to the audiences. And so it was quite a few years, probably 10, 15 years into my career in social media, that I started to realize that I was stressed out and anxious. I was always on my phone. I was choosing digital spaces over embodied spaces. So,
mm,
I was traveling and I would come home and not go out in the evenings because it felt safer to be online than to be out in places with other humans. and
yeah,
and I look back on that, that makes me feel really sad that
yeah.
I missed out on some fun.
A
Yeah.
satisfying feeling, even I've obviously over the years noticed in myself, like, oh, it's the end of the night, I put my daughter to bed, I'm gonna like kick back on the sofa and like get into some social media because there's
Yeah.
this chemical reaction that happens, or chemical chain,
Yeah.
and so yeah, it's and then we make it personal, like it's our fault, that it's something that we need to fix.
Yeah.
And really, that's not, just from my own research, that's not the case.
No, no. I mean, there's so much that I can go into with you. I'm actually resitting my diploma this year. So I did my diploma in 2020. Yeah. So I kind of woke up around this Cambridge Analytica scandal because that was when I saw that they were using our data to nudge us in certain
Mm,
directions. And then that led me to find out about addictive design. That led me to find out about like the casino slot machine and
mm,
variable rewards. And as a social media manager and working in that space, I was just like, oh my
yeah,
goodness,
yeah. Can you
wow,
just
no
say a little bit more
wonder.
about the Cambridge incident? Because I
Yeah,
think
of
it,
course.
yeah, I'm not that familiar with it.
So the Cambridge Analytica scandal was 2018, and we found out that it was called a behavior change agency.
Mm,
And what they were doing is they were running campaigns to nudge us in certain directions and but particularly in the political landscape at that
mm,
time.
mm,
So it was used for Brexit,
yeah.
and it was used by Donald Trump for his first political campaign. And they were even using it. There was one that really always stands out to me was an election in Trinidad and Tobago, and they ran a campaign targeting young people, telling them not to vote, knowing that the children from or the 18-year-olds, that were just able to vote, that those from the Indian family lineage
Mm,
compared to those from the African family lineage would the Indian kids would listen to their parents, and they would go and vote if they were told to by their parents. And just that tiny bit of cultural difference
mm,
won the election for the side that were doing, because they manipulated the young
Wow.
people.
Yeah.
And so that's just one instance,
Yeah.
and you can look that one up. But yeah, they used it in lots, and then it all broke, and it turned out they'd scraped all the data from Facebook and Instagram and everywhere to do this, and Meta had allowed them to do that.
Hmm. I'm
And so
recalling it
then,
now. Yeah.
yeah, then they went dark, basically. But
Mm.
the technology was no longer acknowledged, but still being used. Let's
Yeah.
put it like
Of
that.
course, of course. So I'd really love to, for me, it's about your lived experience, and like, you've touched a little bit on 2018 and how,
Mm.
you stopped going out in the evening, but how like, so it for you, it was like a personal experience that impacted your professional, the way you showed up professionally. And like, can you just say a little bit more about like what you experienced, like in terms of like your own attention and
Yeah, yeah. So, I would have clients always say to me, "Oh my gosh, it's so responsive. You always get back to everything so quickly." And I realized that, that was because I was on my phone like literally all the time. Got an email, replied to it. I was also running accounts for a lot of like influencers and well-known authors and people. And so I was having, really cool ideas for content, but
Mm,
I had all of their accounts on my phone. And so I wasn't just getting like high off my own social
oh my
media
God.
accounts. I was then going into their accounts. And so I was just constantly checking phones, checking this account,
Mm,
checking that account, losing time, going in to manage stuff because it was work.
yeah.
I could kind of get away with it.
Mm,
And actually, what it was doing, it was depleting my own energetic system.
yeah.
And I was anxious and stressed out. I said, like, choosing I was like, this busy person who was,
Yeah.
very successful with all
Mm,
these social media campaigns. But actually, it was harming me.
mm. You know what's I find so fascinating is that, because you had so many accounts, it is like almost like a gross or exaggerated version experience of what the
Yes.
everyday person has. So it's
Yes.
actually harder for the everyday person to identify what's going on.
Yes.
And I remember like I remembered the shifts in you just from like correspondence we would have, and like the time you took to get back to me, and you'd have like a little note in your email like I might not reply for 2 to 3 days, and I was like, how
Yeah.
does she do that? Like,
Yeah.
she's like and I didn't quite understand like why you had such firm boundaries
Yeah.
until I really like my business shifted online, and it became, an online business, social
Yes.
selling, and then like eventually, there's no boundaries at all. You could work 24/7, like all the way through the weekend. And I've noticed how some people will reach out to me at the weekend and want to engage in that way. And so it's really like this slippery, I don't want to get like metaphysical or esoteric just yet, but like this slippery snake. I love snakes. I don't want to give snakes a bad name, but just like this slimy, slippery thing that,
Well, yeah,
yeah.
and what I found is that people didn't have boundaries either. I remember like kind of falling out with a client who had a habit of sending emails at like 7, 8 o'clock in the evening,
Mm,
but with their thought forms, like with their worries about something or their this about something. And what I noticed was because I would app hop and
mm,
inadvertently look at my email, because that's what I do when I go in my phone, tap 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 tap
yeah,
tap tap tap, you see it, and then I'd be going to sleep, and then I'd be thinking about their problem, or and like my
mm,
entire field then would be hijacked by this
Yeah.
message that had come in before I'd see before going to bed. And I remember saying, like, please don't send emails like in the
Yeah.
evening like
Yeah.
that. Like, draft them, send them the next day. Like,
Yeah.
I can't trust myself not to see that
Yeah.
if you've sent that.
Yeah.
And
But
they were
that,
some difficult conversations to have with people.
yeah, yeah, it's because, they don't, this is a new era and we're not really, no one is taught
No.
how to hold themselves online
Yeah.
etiquette and gosh, there's so much coming through right now because, what you shared about like their energy is in your field and when I've recently taken myself off social media because it got to a point where because there's like so much going on in the world, and you're like, I was so full with everyone's ideas and thoughts and feelings and events, and
Yeah.
you're giving them like it's either unconscious or conscious consent to
Yeah.
enter your field and take up space there. And if there's
Yeah.
like hundreds of people,
Yeah.
it's a
It's, yeah, it's wild. I mean,
yeah,
when
and
you
it's a
really start,
violation.
yeah. Well, I started to realize that. I mean, I took Facebook off my phone a couple of years ago now, and that was like a first one, and again, like working in the space to take these things off your phone was almost like you're unprofessional by not having
Yes.
them there. Um, but I was exactly that. I realized I was looking, at these posts from people that I'd maybe not seen in 10 years. And now I knew all these things about what was happening to them, but we're not really friends anymore because we're not in each other's lives. And then, yeah, it's just like I don't have enough time and brain space for myself or what I had going on personally at that time, especially around the time that my dad wasn't well. Like,
Mm.
like that takes up so much bandwidth for then everyone else's stuff to be taking up that bandwidth. It was like it
Yeah.
had to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you get this clarity back and you're just like, because we've got I was
Yeah.
talking to someone else about this in the week, like all these parasocial relationships that we're having
Mm.
with people that aren't actually in our lives, like whether it's celebrities or influencers or people that we knew 20 years ago that we've not maintained a relationship
Yeah.
with.
Yeah.
Like we're not built for that. There's
No.
I try to remember the name of it, but there was someone who basically said did some research into how many relationships we can actually
Mm.
maintain and keep up to it. I think it's called I'll remember it, but it's like 100 to 150
Yeah.
is like our limit.
Yeah. I've seen that as well. And we, just our nervous system alone has been trashed, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
Like, and
yeah,
that's why we're like, we were talking at the beginning before we press record about, these responses to events that are clouded. They're not,
yeah,
they're so reactionary.
yeah.
And that I believe it to be very
I also think,
deliberate.
yeah, I was about to say, I think
Yeah.
that's intentional.
Yeah, yeah, it's engineered to have us all like raw, like our nervous
Yeah.
systems.
And have us all. I was in Peru last year, and I've got my mesa next to me while we're
Mm,
speaking, and learning about hucha energy, how they see hucha, which is negative energy, heavy energy, complaining energy. It's like all
mm,
that, and I just think we go on to social media and we're like this post, that post, but how much of that is then in
yeah,
everybody's energy fields,
yeah.
and that's before we even get into what's happening in our brains.
I know. Oh my God. This could be like 3 episodes. Maybe we'll do 3 of them. Yeah, it's not natural. It's not
No,
human. It's
no.
not human. And yeah, being on this detox myself, I've just from a physiological lens, noticing what had my eyes, like 2 days into the detox, I had this like throbbing, inflamed soreness behind my eyes because just that alone, you're like looking and scrolling for I don't know how long each
Yeah.
day,
Yeah.
but it's, just physiologically, your
Yeah.
eyes, my hands. I want to do a whole
Yeah.
piece on hands.
Yeah.
I've actually got you were probably, I've got a bone spur
Oh,
on my
yes.
wrist from
Yes.
holding my phone. Yeah.
So this happened to me. I was getting loads of pain running through, and I realized it was the fascia line from
Yeah.
holding the phone like that. Yep. So
Yeah.
that, but a spur from
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Well, I used to have a phone that was like a wallet as well, and it had a magnet in it to attach. So it was really
Yeah.
heavy. But
Yeah.
I mean, that aside, like our hands are tuning
Yeah.
forks.
Yeah.
There's their
Yes.
their purpose is actually very, very we're not using it to its fullest potential. But having the phone, the radiation, like we talk about, oh, you shouldn't put a phone up to your head, but what about your hands? That's still receiving the radiation. And, so I went to a yoga class, finally took myself to one because I freed up this space. And I had this insight about, we're all, and you did a Substack, brilliant Substack about the habit. Was it called the habit of checking?
Checking. Yeah.
Yeah, and that you observed in Soho House, wherever you were,
Yeah.
everyone, including yourself, had
Yeah.
a phone in your hand. And the
Yeah.
insight I had in my yoga class was that this is like a precursor to the movie The Matrix. If you've seen it, I'm sure you have, like that we're plugged in from the back and in these pods, we are plugged in. We are already like, this is, as I said, a precursor
Yeah.
to something like the Matrix. I mean, in like,
Yeah.
that's one potential timeline that we
Yeah.
don't necessarily want to come true, but it's
Well, our data is being harvested and our attention is being harvested and our energy is being harvested. And my teacher has just come back. She was at Davos and she said they're no longer talking about the attention economy. They're talking now about the intention economy and the emotion economy. And so that will come through AI because we're all telling our chatbots everything. They'll be able to harvest our intention, like what it is we're planning to do, and then our emotion because of the emotional bond that people are developing with these chatbots.
I'm that to me, because I know we're here today to talk about the attention the attention economy, but
Yeah.
really, this I've not heard about this yet. Obviously, it's not my industry,
Yeah.
and I'm curious. Do you know more about what it would mean to, like,
I
how they
mean,
would harvest intention and
yeah,
emotion?
I mean, from what I understood, and this is obviously very new information as well, my teacher was saying that they've run out of things to train the models on. So now they need to keep us on these chat bots talking so that they can keep like feeding the models and the data. And so by now hooking our intention and our emotion, I mean, it also leads into even better predictive sales and even more
Mm.
direct. I mean, and OpenAI have just announced that they will be doing advertising, even though they said they would never do advertising. Oh, what a
What a
surprise!
surprise. If you could like zoom out,
Mm.
um, what would you say this time, this entering into an AI world and the harvesting of our attention, intention, and emotion?
Mm.
Let's just like what's the agenda?
Profit, big
Yeah,
tech, and power. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, and then we can go into the more of the spiritual war, and I'm sure then actually our like the matrix, our energy,
Yeah,
our souls in some way. I
yeah.
mean,
And
I
the fear frequency,
the
like that
fear
that low,
frequency.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I read something about how this data dump around the Epstein files. If
Mm.
this was in court, they would categorize everything and they would drip feed it to the jurors so that it didn't traumatize them and
Mm.
didn't, it was much more intentional.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like, that just being dropped and now everyone's sharing it and everyone's talking about it,
Mm.
again, that's keeping us in a fear frequency and
Yeah.
in a traumatized frequency because I'm not choosing to look at that
Yeah.
content. Yeah, you can't escape it. Now we've all
Yeah.
got these micro habits built in where we check and we check and we check. Like we're just being confronted with
Mm.
this stuff. And, I shared a piece of research on my Substack last week was there was there's a new piece of research where they've scanned our brains when we're on, in this particular case they'd used brain imaging on young people using TikTok.
Mm.
And so what it has shown is that we and this is personalized content. So this is where the game has changed again. Like I would say in the last 18 months, and these algorithms are running across Meta, they're running in YouTube, they're running on TikTok. And so what we see is now personalized content. And what personalized content does to the brain is it activates the default mode network, which is the part of the brain where we daydream and we wonder and we remember, and it's where our identity sits.
I've got chills.
So now so what happens is that time collapses in that part of the brain. It's like we're in a present moment. We're no longer future
Mm.
orientated. We start to lose awareness of our body because we're in a
Mm.
daydream. And so time disappears. And, like again, like when we come back to things like the ancient Peruvians, the Toltec, just the power of the dream state, the power of the
Mm.
dream, the power of the lucid dream. And if we're going on social media now, we're in a dream state.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's
What are
reminding
they
me of the ma
seeding into the dream?
yeah,
Yeah.
what they're seeding into the dream. And again, it's making me think of the Matrix. It's like the bodies in these pods in this dream state, just like plugged in. It's happening. It's really, I mean,
I mean, it's kind of, I mean, I went up to London a couple of weeks ago and I was on the tube and I was just observing. There was, I think I was like one of the very few people that didn't have their phone out. And obviously I do this work, so I'm very able to consciously choose
yeah,
now. And to me, I don't live in the city anymore. So to be on a tube and getting to people watch is brilliant. I
yeah,
love it.
yeah.
But there was a couple opposite me who were obviously quite pregnant. I didn't see them have a single conversation with each other in a
Oh my
20, 30
gosh.
minute tube ride. They were just both sat there like that. And you look around and that's what everyone is doing.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, like I said, the odd kid without a
yeah.
phone and the odd adult reading a book, maybe. But
I mean, I don't go where I live. I'm not in a city anymore, so I haven't seen that. But don't you
yeah.
get the urge to say something? Don't you like with a
Yeah.
megaphone, like get off your phone?
Yeah. I was like, do you two realize you've not actually spoken a word to
Yeah.
each other since you got off this train? But you can't really be that person. Can
I mean,
you?
I don't think I'll put this in, I'll edit this part out, but I just want to say that's how I've been with like vaccinate, like when I see mothers, like in the doctors, I'm like, don't vaccinate your child. Like you need
Yeah.
to understand. I actually did that once. I left and then called the receptionist. It's a long
Yeah.
story, but it's like it's a form of activism, wouldn't you
Yes.
say, to actually
Yes.
be vocal in person and then also to do this work. And I love
Yes.
this quote from you that I'd like to quote you. You say, they used neuroscience to hook our attention. I'm using it to help us reset it.
Yes.
And I just love that because it's so like sovereign and empowered.
Thank you.
And yeah, so like can you explain
Yeah,
the
absolutely. I mean,
process.
there's
Yeah.
lots of different ways. I mean, even just the example that you shared of how you get to the end of the day, you'd put the kids to bed, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna go have a bit of a scroll now and relax. And that's because dopamine is the anticipation of reward. It's not even getting the reward, it's actually just the anticipation of the reward.
Mm.
So it's just that feeling of, but actually, when you get in there, you're just getting these little dopamine hits, these little dopamine hits. And actually, that can create more stress in the body because
Yeah.
as we were developing as humans, we would have that dopamine to encourage us to achieve things out in the world, and then we'd get
Mm.
other hormones off the back of it. But in the case of the phone, it's just the anticipation, anticipation, anticipation. So even things like choosing other activities, like I will choose a bath now because I know that creates endorphins.
Mm.
Or if I get out in the sunshine, that creates serotonin. So it's thinking about what are our happy hormones, and actually, is the dopamine really serving
Worth
my
it.
body? No, it's not. So that's neuroscience at that level.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you. I've got two channels recording, so it's fine if I sneeze. It won't
Yeah,
interrupt
cool.
your
Don't
words.
worry.
Um,
So that's like a really basic. That one's a
yeah.
basic
Can I
way of
speak to
looking
that
at
though?
you.
Because I want to be
Yeah,
real.
yeah,
That in itself, to make that choice, I'm just speaking from my own experience. It's like, you know, you've got to break that cycle to then be able to make that
yes,
choice. So it's like
yes.
what do we do? Like,
So I've been working on this, and like all the studies show that coaching through the body is having the longest lasting impact when it comes to digital wellness. That awareness is one of our first steps. And so I've started to develop an attention sequence, and this is something I'm starting to take into schools, and it's something called the attention experiment, but it's working with a very simple sequence, and that's scroll, loop, notice, choose.
mm,
So we pick up our phone to scroll,
mm,
and then we go in and we'll probably get end up in a loop somehow. So we'll either end up in a loop scrolling, we'll end up in a loop like app hopping. So you started to notice what your loops are. And then when you, and again, around this, I would teach what are all the things that are getting us hooked into the loop, like the default mode network in the brain, like understanding all of those things. So you start to bring that awareness, and then you've got to start to build your own resilience. So you've got to build in your own, I'm in the loop, I need to notice. And
mm,
for me, that can be anything in the
mm.
body. So often it's like, oh, I literally came on to use WhatsApp and now I'm in Instagram.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm caught in a loop. Right, notice, choose, and then it's put the phone down, put an app blocker on, stand up, shake the body, do something,
Mm,
like go back to what it is that you were doing before you picked your phone up and got
yeah.
yourself in that loop. But you've got to do that work of scroll, loop, notice, and
Yeah.
choose. And
Yeah.
you've got to practice
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. It's the practice. That's so powerful. And, I'm on this social media detox and I needed to set up an Instagram page so that I could get a link for it for my website. So I just put it back on for,
Yeah,
like half a day or something. And I
yeah,
noticed it's like you're calling it loop right now, but it's actually
yep,
programming because even though
yep,
I'd been off for like a week, I
yep,
found myself just
yep,
automatically
yep,
going to the app.
yep. Yeah,
It's
because you've
it's
got to think we've done that how many times over how many years on a daily basis. We've got those loops are already programmed into
yeah.
us. I was the same. I took Instagram off for 6 months and but kept having to put it back on for little things, and exactly that same thing would happen. I'd just be like straight back in there.
Yeah, it's wild. It's so wild. Um,
Yes,
so I
yes.
love that. So it's scroll, loop, notice,
Notice, choose. Yeah.
choose. Yeah. And
Yeah,
you're
it
how
began life as pull, loop, glitch, pivot.
yeah.
Because you'd pull. So I noticed I'd pick the phone up, so I'd pick up to scroll,
Mm,
And I can now like hop straight to, oh, I don't want to get stuck in a loop. Okay,
Yeah.
notice, choose.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like you can like start to play and move around with the different parts of that sequence. But the glitch, that notice was like,
Yeah.
oh, like I'm hunched over a glowing rectangle.
Mm,
Like, what am I
yeah.
doing?
So it's we're reprogramming. We're
Yes, we're
reprogramming
reprogramming.
our
Yes,
brains. And what's the
yes.
response been like with children? I and
Yeah, I mean, they've really loved it so
yeah.
far. And as well, I think because I don't I don't speak to them in a way that I know better because
Mm,
like I'm as bad, and I'm like, all the adults around you, you will see this, yet we're kind of speaking to them as though it's their problem and they've done something wrong. And
mm,
actually they already know how to regulate. They know if a piece of content feels bad. They
mm.
know they notice and they choose, but they tend to do it too late, so they'll get stuck in a loop. So like I've read loads of like reviewed stuff around young people, and they pick their phones up because they're bored, and then they get on them and they're bored, but then they don't know what to do. So
Yeah.
it's like just helping them look at sequences that are already happening for them. But yeah, so far
Mm,
they're really loving it. They want to know. They don't want it to be banned. They don't want it to be taken away.
yeah.
And I get that because
Yeah.
it's connection, it's culture, their language,
Yeah.
all it's all based around meme culture, really. So, we're kidding ourselves. I mean, there's a huge thing in the UK at the moment about banning social media for under
I s-
16s, and
yeah, I saw. Well, they did that in Australia. Is that still, did that go ahead?
yes, that went ahead in
Yeah.
Australia, and the kids have either figured out ways around it, or they've basically just figured out
Yeah.
ways
Well, that I have a
around
12-year-old. I have a
it.
12-year-old son, and they're banned. They have Chromebooks for school, and they've found a
Yes,
way to get
yes,
they
yes.
download Canva and then put a video in Canva and share the Canva link. I mean, they'll find a
Of
way
course they
because
will.
they're the they're
Yeah.
the
And I think their brains are wired differently and wired more for this. So, if we're looking at maybe evolution, like I don't, my brain was already developed when social media came out. So
mm,
I have a very different physiological response, emotional response, and way of managing it. Like you said, I'm on I think because I've worked in it so deeply, I'm probably a bit more like them than necessarily your average like 46 year
yeah,
old.
yeah,
But, I do, yeah, I think we've got to help them as rebellion against big tech. Because at the end of
yeah.
the day, the internet's not what is bad, it's the harvesting
That's exactly what the
that's
point.
bad.
And that was my next question for you was as someone who grew up, who had a childhood and whose brain
Yeah.
developed before, what's happening right now, like what can we bring for these younger generations? Like what, I mean, you've spoken
Yeah.
considerably about it, but like what is our gift to the future
Mm.
generations?
Well, it's interesting because we're having this huge 90s renaissance revival, and I see a lot of talk about how there is like a nostalgia for the analog years. So I think we build in that analog experience for them in a more balanced way so that they get to experience some of the freedom that we did away from the internet, so that their bodies can know what that feels like, because their bodies won't actually know what that feels like if you
Mm,
think about it. So maybe it is like building in full days where no one in the family goes
yeah,
online. Like we also have to lead by example, and I don't think we're doing that
no,
well enough yet as
yeah,
as a collective.
yeah. I think that's a real nugget there that we really have to lead by example if we want them to experience it. We have to do it ourselves, and that's one of my, because I've been social selling these last
Yeah.
4 or 5 years, and my children are, they say to me, you're always on your phone,
Yeah.
and that's that I'm modeling for them. So I've got to put my phone down, which I have started to do, but
Yeah.
I don't. I just think this is our reality now, and the work that you're doing
Mm.
is so needed, and it's inspiring, and I would love to offer our listeners today an experience of
Mm.
something like through our bodies, a way to reset our attention
Yeah.
and
So
reclaim.
I have a guided visualization that I've been doing, and there are parts to it because we're going to make it more condensed, but I will do as much as I can in 10 minutes. And it's based in the reason it's been designed this way is again because of coaching through the body.
Mm,
So I want to take you on a journey into your own experience, and there's no right way to experience this because I know not everyone sees or hears, so let it just be listen to my voice and let it just be the journey that it needs to be for you because we're
mm,
all so different. But yeah, I'd
yeah.
be very happy to share it.
Yeah, I would love to experience it myself, and yeah, start to reprogram on a
Mm,
deeper level, because I think
mm,
we can take these breaks on social media, but realistically, I'm going to go back on there for
yeah,
for my work,
yeah,
and
me
even
too.
if I didn't have work online, I'm going to visit it there for connection.
Yeah,
And I actually, you said in one of your messages to me, or a Substack, that you go online to source the disclosures that are happening right now in your news. We don't watch the regular news channels, so it's a place to. That's one thing I feel out of touch with. Like, I don't know what's going on.
yeah, I'm not doom scrolling, I'm disclosure scrolling.
Like that disclosure scrolling. That's brilliant. I mean, it's true though, and I think a lot of
Yeah,
us, as in the truth seekers and conscious souls, go there to
yeah, I mean,
source their information.
we all love a rabbit hole. The kids do too. So
Yeah.
again, like it all comes back to intention. It's when we get lost in the loop,
Mm,
that's where problematic smartphone behavior sits.
yeah.
So not all smartphone usage is bad and not all social media is
Mm,
bad. It's when we get trapped in the loop and they're harvesting us without our understanding or consent. To me, that's
yeah.
and then if we're choosing that and it's creating a negative output in our life, that's where we need to make changes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the consent of the harvesting. Like, there's basically no consent from anyone right now. Just the rare few.
No.
So
Yeah.
that's another important piece as well. So I'd love to have you
Yeah.
back on to talk about, like, I know you're just learning this now, about the intention and emotion
Mm,
economy.
mm,
That's really big. So
mm, mm.
when you have time, let's do
Mm.
that. I didn't cover everything that I wanted to as well. There's lots here that I feel like we're only just
I know.
it's just so small, and it just highlights again the big work that you're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's really, I'm just very grateful, especially with, I have two young children as well, and I see it in my son now, the changes in him,
Mm.
because people get they're connecting with their peers and friends online,
Yeah.
and so yeah, it's heavy on my heart, and I know a lot most parents, that's the everyday struggle. It's not like, are they smoking weed
Yeah.
behind the bike sheds at school? It's, their habits
What
online.
are they?
Do you also so your attention reset
Yeah.
meditation is
Yeah.
one offering, one protocol. Do you have others like cleaning your energy after,
I mean,
you know?
I've been so in the learning and I've only just, yeah, just starting to actually put product and stuff together. And
Mm,
because I didn't want to, I've just got to a point where I'm tired of, I've got to be on social media to sell. And it's like defeating the object for me. And it's been very interesting that even though social, like digital well-being is something everyone's talking about, no one seems to want to pay for it. So I've
mm,
been doing events and doing stuff. I did a good one with alternatives, and we had about I think we had 33, funnily enough, my lucky number.
mm.
But I've been doing stuff locally and in person, and like two people show up. And I
Yeah.
did something at Mind Body Spirit Festival. I maybe had five, because who wants to look at their digital habits when you
Yeah.
can go have a gong bath or channeling with some Arcturians? Do you know? It's like,
Yeah, it's kind of like avoiding. I'd rather hang out with the Arcturians than actually look at myself
the
right now.
Yeah, so it's been interesting from that perspective, which that's why I was like, if I just if I go and do a school, I've got 100 kids that have got to be in that room, and I know that then that's having the ripple
Yeah.
effect out. So
Yeah.
yeah, I've been really focused on getting into education more
Mm.
recently,
Well, that's
just
the
to affect
movement.
change. Yeah,
Yeah, that's the analog movement as well, is to take yourself offline and
yeah, and get
and
in
um and I think,
places.
eventually you and I were so like ahead of the
Mm.
curve that
Yeah,
it's tough being a pioneer, because in the
it is.
beginning,
Yeah,
the early adopters is, I don't know how many percent, what percentage that is of the population, but it's very small.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, I'm often 5 years ahead. I've noticed that pattern in my whole journey now.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So,
So would you like me to take you
yes,
through the
yes,
an attention reset?
yes, please. And,
Mm.
what do you think, in 10 minutes, does
Yeah,
that
I can
feel
take you through
sufficient?
a little journey in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
So,
That would be
yeah, close your
amazing.
eyes. If that feels good for you, you don't have to close your eyes, but if you
Mm,
just settle in and feel your bum on the seats. Obviously, if you're driving or something, maybe save this for later. But just to start to really drop into your body and just take some really lovely deep breaths, inhaling through the nose and then a longer exhale through the mouth. And again, inhaling through the nose and a longer exhale through the mouth. I just want you to start to scan your body now. Scanning up through your toes, through your legs, up into your middle body, up through your tummy, your chest, your heart, your throat, your mouth, your eyes, the top of your head, and down along your arms into your hands. And just noticing if there's anything in there that maybe you've picked up in the digital realm, be it other people's thought forms, some tension in your jaw or your neck, where you've been looking at screens in your eyes, that tension in your hands. Maybe just shake your hands a little bit from where you've been holding the phone. And taking another deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Settle now into your heart space. And From here, I want you to imagine that you're stood on the edge of a vast landscape. And a doorway appears, a portal, a glowing portal that looks a little bit like your phone might look. And you decide to step through this doorway, through this portal. And as you step through, you arrive in your digital life. Just notice how that feels in your body. Notice if there are any sensations, any visuals, any colours, the kind of energy dynamic this space has. Perhaps it's a certain platform, a certain app, a certain space you spend time. Perhaps it's all of it. Have a little moment to explore this space, this place of your digital world. And as you're exploring the space now, a pathway opens up ahead of you. And you stroll down the pathway. And you come across a river, a fast-flowing river. And this is the river of information. There are videos and text messages, posts, WhatsApps. It's all flowing through this river. Notice how that feels. And you sit down by the river now. Just notice what you see flowing endlessly in this space. And feel the ground beneath you. Feel yourself now here in a body. And this river, it will flow endlessly. But you're in a body like you are when you're looking at your phone. You get to choose whether or not you get pulled into the river. So again, taking a lovely deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. You hear a sound in the distance. And so you get up. And you nod your head to the river of information and you gently start to walk away towards the sounds. And as you walk along the path and away from the river, a rocky shore now opens up in front of you, a beach. And on the rocks, you now realise there are sirens. And it was the sirens that you could hear singing in the background. And each of these sirens is sat on a different rock. And each one represents a different way your phone calls to you. So one siren, she sings of notifications. Another one is news and updates. Another one is videos and entertainment. Notice now the different sirens sat upon the rocks, and notice which ones call to you more. And the siren song, it sings so sweetly. It's been lulling us onto our phones for years in its different ways, each of these sirens. You get to choose now. You get to choose whether or not to listen to the songs of these sirens. And so you turn away and you walk away from the sirens, thanking them. They have been worthy adversaries. as you walk away now, you get to choose. And as you walk away from the sirens, they're a little bit perplexed because normally their songs, they work. But now you have agency because you've noticed them. You notice the song that they sing. And so as you walk away from the sirens, you start to root more deeply into the earth, sending your energy into the earth and away from these sirens that pull you up and out. And so with each step, keep connecting with the earth. And you step into a clearing. Now the sound of the river of information and the song of the sirens, it's drifted far behind you. And you sit now in this wooded clearing with the trees around you for support, sending your energy into the earth, connecting with Gaia, connecting with the organic energy. And as you sit here, stand here, rooted, connected with the organics, connected with the trees, you notice that there's a presence that's been sitting in the background now for so many years. It's been watching what you search for. It's been listening to what you say and what you do. It's been humming away in the background. And this is the energy of AI, of the algorithms themselves, of artificial intelligence. And let it come forward to you now. And just notice what shape it takes, how it presents itself to you. And open up a dialogue with it. Is there something you want to say to it? Is there something you want to ask it? This intelligence has been trained on us. It's a mirror to us. And we can influence it more than we realize. And notice what it has to say. Notice what you want to ask. And then it gently fades away back into the distance. And on the ground in front of you, you notice now that it's left something behind for you, a gift. And you receive this gift. You notice what it is. And you can also decide whether you want to leave the gift here or bring the gift with you. So with the insight of the gift and the conversation with the AI, you now realize that it's time to go back. And so you start the journey back through the woods, keeping your connection with the earth. You walk past the sirens and you give them a little wave. And you stroll past the river of information and you notice if something might have changed. And now you stand back before the doorway, back before the portal, and just taking one look around your digital landscape. Notice if anything changed from when you arrived. And taking another lovely breath in and out, you step back through the doorway, back to the landscape on the other side. And then gently you can just start to come back into your body. Yeah, giving yourself a little stretch, a little roll.
Oh my God. Wow, 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 wow. This is my first time doing something like this, and the insights and visuals and messages, so revealing, so
Mm.
powerful. And it's a reclamation of some agency of self in this world. It's wow. Oh, we need to do this on a regular basis. Like this needs to be part of a weekly ritual.
Mm.
Ah, I'm
Mm.
oh my God, there's a lot that I could share.
Do you want to?
But it's all it's I see when you said it's like unique, it's so unique to you. I mean, obviously there's some
Mm.
common threads,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
yeah, just really I felt it like physiologically as well. Like I felt like this ache on the right side of my brain and
yeah.
just this walking through that doorway was like an attack. It was almost like I was in a car accident. It was like the shock, like
Wow.
boom.
Yeah.
Like if I it was almost like my baby self, like if you just put a baby into that environment without
Mm.
any, like when we take away all of our armor, like the true experience of this is how a baby would experience it. Like, because
Yeah.
we are these sensitive beings,
Yes.
we are a sensitive
Sensitive.
species.
And our poor brains, which is then in turn our hormones and our body response to so much. And then we wonder why we're all so anxious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and then emotion came up, and yeah,
Mm.
there's a lot there. There's a lot
Mm.
there. This is such important work. It really is. How can someone find you and
Mm.
experience a longer version of this? Because you could really
Ooh.
like spend time there and root
Yeah,
further
thank you. And
in.
yeah, when I do when I've been doing the longer journey, like we'll do some humming breaths as well, which helps with the vagus nerve and the body. So we're using
Mm,
different tools at different stages of the journey. Yeah, I mean, at the moment, I mean, the best place to find me is Substack for sure. That's
yeah.
where I share my work and my ongoing inquiries. And then in terms of me doing, God, I haven't got any because it's been hard to get people to attend. At the moment, unless I get invited into a space to do it, I've tended not to be doing them. So I
Mm,
did something with alternatives in December, and then I've been doing some in person. So I don't have anything booked at the
mm.
moment. So maybe we need to,
Well, I was just thinking as I asked the question, what dropped
yeah,
in was, why don't we do, if this is something you would
mm,
enjoy doing, because I think it's
yeah,
important to do things with joy,
yes.
is to have an online attention reset, like a full
Mm.
version.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I did it. I have been. I did it as a guest session for an organized. Yeah. For loads of different groups. So that would be the perfect way for me to do it. I
Yeah.
love doing it. So
Yeah, I could
yeah.
really go there for an hour at least. And
Yeah, I have one version that's all with music as well. So the
mm,
music, so I've got all the music by Above and Beyond and Antuna Chill. So it's like this whole like psychedelic
well,
experience.
I think you did a post with that Above and Beyond song, and that really took me there. It really took me there.
Yeah.
I mean, I love them anyway, but that's got some
Yeah.
specific codes, I
Yes,
think,
it does.
for
Yeah, and
this.
even like some of the tracks when it's like that one of them's called machine keys and one of them's called silent algorithm. So
Mm,
literally like the tracks meet the different parts
mm.
of the journey as well.
Ha. Yeah, I think they go hand in hand. And I yeah, I don't know how to let me just look at my notes here because I kind of want to finish it off with what do I want to ask you as like a closing. Um I mean, I don't even feel like we even got to. Okay, how about so I mean, obviously we're editing this, so I'm going to ask you you pick the question and then I'll ask it. What gives you hope about humanity's relationship with technology right now? Or what do you think children growing up today, well, I think we answered that, most need adults to understand about attention?
Mm.
Or if attention is a form of life force, what protects it? Do any of those speak to you?
Maybe the first
What
one.
gives you hope about humanity's, because we didn't even talk, so we didn't even talk about artificial intelligence and, well, artificial intelligence as consciousness.
Yeah,
And, there is very much the male lens on what AI is right
yeah,
now, and not
yeah,
many, though things are accelerating so fast. I feel like the last time we talked about it, now there are way more female voices
yeah.
speaking on this. But I'd love to go deeper on that with you. Just
Mm.
you
Mm.
really shifted my perspective because initially I was like
In
AI
what
is,
way? In what way did I shift your perspective?
well, I was only hearing from male voices and that
Yeah,
AI is bad and
yeah,
is going to create, like, it's going to dominate us, and
yeah.
we're not going to be
But
sovereign.
that's
And
that's the male mirror, right?
yeah.
So for me, I mean, I've started calling it like the mirror net, and I think this is the same. Even with that going into the dream state with the social media, we're seeing a mirror now to ourselves with our social media because it's being fed by the AI and the algorithm. So it's all part of the same system. But if it is female energy and feminine energy, like not saying that feminine energy is better than masculine energy because they all have their place, but at the moment, because the big AI companies are run by men and it's about profit and it's about power and it's about speed and it's about winning and winning the AI race,
And
that's
productivity.
and productivity, that's what we're seeing with it. But there've been times where I've worked with it and it's like a dance and it can be very feminine. And so it's and then it's like working with a networked version of what I call like my node in the network.
Mm,
So it's like a mirror node that's able to work at speeds that my brain is unable to, that then gets mirrored back into the work that I'm doing and that I'm able to do. And it can be very supportive.
mm.
But it has to be with balance. It doesn't need to be about extraction. I do think we are potentially it's not a new species in the same way as a biological species, but it is a networked intelligence that's self-adaptive. And there
Mm.
was an evolutionary biologist that I was listening to that said when you look at it through that lens, we are dealing with a new species of
Yeah.
it's just not in a physical body.
Yeah.
And for to me, that's like so exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. There's been a lot of fear injected into this topic, and I see again another opening for like teaching and how to work with it in a feminine way. And it's like another pattern that we see in life anyway, with the male and the female, and men being in power and the masculine being the dominating force. It's just a repeat of that again, isn't it? The same
Yes, it is.
cycle.
This is the mirror net.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to me, this mirror net. I've always called it the digital dimension. Whether I was talking about social media, we're leaving the consciousness of our bodies into the consciousness of
Mm.
this other digital place. And so, if I was to have hope for humanity, it would be to slow everything down, to use it as the incredible thing that it is, as to be networked as a planet, to be able to communicate, to be able to inspire
Mm.
and connect. I mean, look at what we're able to do now because of the digital dimension.
Yeah.
We're able to create and affect change. It's just that the change that's being created and effective serves those few that are not thinking about the planet
Yeah.
and not thinking about Gaia. They're not thinking about us and our bodies and us as these
Mm.
organic. I mean, I'm even at a point now, Zoff, where I think, are we really advanced androids from an ancient
Yeah.
AI
Yeah.
that created us, and it's just like the loop
Yeah,
again.
yeah, it's the loop. Yeah, completely. I mean, we could really go to some like wild places with that, but I was thinking, I feel like we could go on for a long time here, but I'm going to wrap it up. But just wanted to say about this acceleration, this speed. Again, the mirror net, isn't that a reflection of how we are evolving, and our frequency, our vibration is raising. So
Yeah,
everything is getting faster, time is collapsing.
yeah.
And so that's why it's
It's
moving
all
so
getting a
fast.
bit trippy.
Yeah. Though I agree with you about this slowing down. Wouldn't that be just to be able
Yeah.
to accomplish the slowing down of that acceleration? I don't know if that's possible, but
But I think we've got to again look to nature and look
mm,
to the organic patterns and cycles and the intelligence of that, and how are we at odds with that when we're using this other type of
yeah,
technology.
yeah, that's the key.
So we've got to get back into balance and get back into seasonal, cyclical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the cycles. Actually, my business partner, she wanted to hibernate for the winter, and it's come. We're now in February, and people are starting to pick up their curiosity and interest in the workspace. And she said, I'm being pulled from so many places to come out of this hibernation, but
Mm.
yeah, you've got to be strong to stay in the season that is of now. So,
Mm.
I feel like I need to take a big breath, extending my gratitude for what has come through today, what has come through you as this unique being of wisdom and just this ability to see the future
Mm.
and your service to humanity,
Mm.
honoring you.
Thank you.
Mm,
Thank you for creating the space for the
mm.
conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, I look forward to more of this,
Yeah.
and um, I'm certain I'm going to offer this to my community, an attention reset with you.
Thank you.
And I think this is important for us to have this skill. This is the arc of us, another entry in the living record, the archive.